What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the GOAT Show. Me and Blake will be doing our post week 4 top 25 rankings. Blake, let's start off with number 25. Who do you have?
Take at number 25. This is where I have the LSU Tigers. LSU had a dominating winning against New Mexico State over the weekend, 38-0. Got LSU at number 25, Tate.
At number 25, I have the Maryland Terrapins. Maryland looked very solid against Michigan. I think they could be the third best team in the East. It's between them and Penn State. But I do think Maryland's better than Michigan State. They do play this week, but I think the Terrapins are going to win that game. But Maryland comes in at number 25 for me. Blake, at number 24, I have Kansas State. They're coming off a wild upset win against Oklahoma. Some people expected this. I did not. I had Oklahoma winning this game. But Adrian Martinez was not the problem at Nebraska. Nebraska fans, you guys all are in shambles right now watching him beat Oklahoma after what Oklahoma did to you guys. But Kansas State comes in at number 24 for me. Blake, who do you have?
Take at number 24. This is where I have the Kansas Jayhawks. They just had a big win over Duke, 35-27. They were 4-0 for the first time, I think, since 2009, Tate. And that's the reason I have them at number 24, Tate.
Well, Blake, at number 23, I got the Jayhawks. Jayhawks have three pretty solid wins: Duke, West Virginia, not Tennessee Tech, because Tennessee Tech is kind of poopy. But Kansas, I think they have a good battle this week. I can't remember who they put off the top of my head, but I know they're in their list of games for this week. Jalen Daniels has looked very, very good, and Kansas' offense is like third in points right now, and then they have like the fourth most touchdowns scored. I like what I've seen from Kansas, and they're in my top 25. But Blake, who do you have?
Take at number 23. I have the Florida State Seminoles here. They looked very good over the weekend, destroying Boston College 44-14. Florida State continues to win. They are a sneaky team in the ACC to watch, Tate. Go Florida State.
At number 22, Blake, I got another considered basketball school. I have Syracuse. Syracuse is 4-0 right now, and they are coming off a win against Virginia Wahoos. It was a very good game from Syracuse's kicker, leading them to the win. But Syracuse has wins over Virginia, Purdue, and Louisville now. So expect them to make some moves this year. Blake, who do you have at 22?
Tate at 22. This is where I dropped the Oklahoma Sooners. They lost a game against Kansas State 41-34. They didn't look at all good, in my opinion. I feel like they have to work their way back up the list. Their Tate, I have them at number 22.
At number 21, I have the best group of five team. I got the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati is coming off a huge win against Indiana. I like what I saw from them. They only lost by 10 to Arkansas week 1. So I think Cincinnati is a top 25 team this year, and I feel like they could potentially get in the Cotton Bowl this year. But give me Cincy at 21. Blake, who do you have?
Take at number 21. This is where I have Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I had a good win against Rhode Island over the weekend, 45-24. Kenny Slovis still looks very sharp. Pitt is just working their way up the list, Tate.
At number 20, Blake, I have Oklahoma. This is where I have them falling to. I don't think I'm going to put Kansas State ahead of them just because I think Oklahoma is overall a talented team. But if they put on a neutral field, I think Oklahoma wins. If they play Oklahoma, Oklahoma wins. But you got to punish Oklahoma for losing this game. I mean, the last 10 years it's been like back and forth. But Oklahoma was a team I was pretty consistent on this year. I thought they were going to be the best team in the Big 12. But now it might be Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State plays Baylor this week, so after this week, we're going to have no idea who the best team in the Big 12 is. But I have Oklahoma at number 20. Blake, who do you have?
Tate at number 20. This is where I have TCU. Like you said, the Big 12 is up for grabs, and TCU is sitting in a position where teams are overlooking them right now, Tate. I have the TCU Pronghorns at number 20, Tate.
Next up, at number 19, is my sleeper pick for the ACC. I got the Seminoles, baby. Florida State's coming off a dominant win against Boston College. They play Wake Forest this weekend. If they win that game, oh my goodness, it is going to be crazy down in Florida. Jordan Travis is him, and I love what I'm seeing from Florida State this year. Blake, here you have a 19.
Take at number 19, this is where I had the Arkansas Razorbacks. They did lose a tough game over the weekend to Texas A&M, 23-21. I still think KJ Jefferson will help this Razorbacks team back from that loss. But this is where I have them right after this week 4 take at number 19.
At number 18, Blake and I both have Utah Utes. Cameron Rising is not looking as good as I expected him to. There's no doubt they're going to beat Arizona State after all the drama going on at Arizona State. But Utah sits at number 18 for me. Blake, do you want to add on?
I agree. Rice that has not looked too sharp this season, but I mean he's still playing very good ball in my opinion. Tate. They had a very good win against Arizona State. I expect the Utah Utes to improve each and every week and fight for the Pac-12 championship. Tate. Baylor.
At number 17, this is where I have Arkansas falling to. Arkansas ended up losing to A&M this week, but I still think they're a very talented team. They have host Alabama this week, and I think they could potentially upset them after watching the Alabama-Texas game. But there's going to be a lot on the line, and I wouldn't be shocked if Arkansas would have come out and won this game. But Arkansas is going to set number 17 for me right now. Blake, who do you have at 17?
Take at number 17, I have the Baylor Bears. Blake Sharp looked very good over the weekend against Iowa State when they end up winning the game 31-24. The Iowa State team is an underrated team and a very good team, and the Baylor Bears came out with the win. That's a very impressive win to me. I have them at number 17, Tate.
At number 16, no surprise, I have A&M here. Some people think they should be higher, but I'm still shocked about the Appalachian State game. I really thought Arkansas was going to have them last week, but A&M came out. Their defense is very, very good this year, and I love what I'm seeing from their defense. Offense has to get it together, but other than that, they are a top 16 team right now. But Blake, who do you have at 16?
Take at number 16, this is where I have the Oregon Ducks. They had a very exciting game against Washington State over the weekend. Washington State is a highly underrated team this year, and Bo Nix did some special things and got them the win. I have the Oregon Ducks sitting at number 16, Tate.
At number 15, Blake, I have Oregon here. They almost sold this game and lost their Pac-12 playoff hopes. But man, that Oregon-Washington game is going to be very entertaining to watch. But Oregon's going to sit at number 15 here. I want to see how far Bo Nix can take them. Blake, who do you have at 15?
At number 15, I have A&M. Like you said, most people think they should be ranked a little bit higher for the win. But I feel like they got a lucky win. The kicker misses the game-winning field goal to win the game. So I feel comfortable keeping Texas A&M at number 15 here, Tate.
At number 14, speaking of the Pac-12, this is where I have the Huskies. Minnesota just smoked Michigan State. Washington smoked Michigan State. But Washington's coming off a win against Stanford. And I'm not going to lie, Washington looks more impressive against Stanford than USC did. Washington with Michael Penix is going to be scary this year. But they're sitting at number 14 for me right now. Blake, who do you have?
At number 14, I have the Big Ten West front runner right now. They just mollywomped Michigan State 30-47. I feel very impressed with this Minnesota team right now, and I hope they end up winning the Big Ten West, Tate.
At number 13, this is where I have the Minnesota Gophers. Tanner Morgan is actually looking a lot better. I like how he's getting out of the pocket and running more. But the leader of this team is Ibrahim. He is very solid. Minnesota was without their star wide receiver against Michigan State, but that didn't stop them from going in to Michigan State and absolutely beating the crap out of them 34-7. Ibrahim will go as far as Minnesota takes him. The only game I see Minnesota losing this year is Penn State, and they're definitely the front runners in the West right now, Blake. Blake, who do you have at number 13?
Take at number 13, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss is being a low-key team in the SEC right now, Tate. I don't think they're the best team in the SEC, but I think they're the 13th best team in the nation right now. So I have them at number 13, Tate.
At number 12, Blake, I have the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky is coming off not a very good win. They beat Northern Illinois 31-23. They have a big game this week against Ole Miss. It's going to be a big SEC game, and I want to be shocked if either team wins. But Kentucky just hasn't. They got good wins, but they haven't looked like a top team, like a top 10 team in my opinion. But I have them sitting at number 12. Like, who do you have at 12?
Take at number 12, I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I'm pretty sure they had a bye week over the weekend, so I kept them right around the same ranking I had them last week at number 12, Tate.
Next up at 11, this is where I have the Ole Miss Rebels. They're coming off not a very pretty win, just like Kentucky, but they played Tulsa. This game's going to be a good game. Ole Miss, Kentucky. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, like a 38-31 type of game. So regardless of who wins or who loses, I'm probably going to have them both in my top 15 still, since they're both right on the edge of the top 10. But it's going to be a good game all around, but Ole Miss is at number 11 for me. Blake, who do you have?
Take at number 11, this is where I have Washington at. Like you said, they had a very impressive win over the weekend against Stanford. Man, that Pac-12 is going to be crazy, isn't it, Tate?
Yeah.
Well, I got Washington at number 11.
Now we are reaching the top 10. Number 10 for me is a team I haven't had ranked all year. I got NC State. Now, they have a big game this week against Clemson. Week 1, NC State should have lost. But these past few weeks, they've shown that they're a pretty solid team. NC State is probably the second best team in the ACC, maybe even third, because I'm very high on Florida State this year, as you guys know. But NC State versus Clemson is going to be a good one this week, Blake. Who do you have?
Tate at number 10, this is where I have the Kentucky Wildcats. Like you said, they have very good wins, but they don't look very good in them wins. I feel like they're in the top 10, but the 10th best team in the top 10. That's where I have Kentucky at, Tate.
At number 9, this is where I have Oklahoma State. They didn't play this past week, but they're the best team in the Big 12 right now, in my opinion. I mean, it's hard not to say they aren't, because the only team really contending with them right now is Kansas and TCU. I mean, Oklahoma State is not Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma and Baylor are still contending, but Oklahoma State sits there undefeated. Blake, who do you have?
Tate at number 9, this is where I have the NC State Wolfpack ranked. I have been very high on this team all year. I feel like they are going to win their game next week against Clemson and take the lead in the ACC. I have them ranked number 9, Tate.
Number 8 for me, this is where I have USC. I dropped them 4 spots after struggling against Oregon State. I predicted an upset, but Oregon State is not as good as I thought they were, especially on the offensive side. Quarterback had like 4 interceptions. USC did shock me defensively. I did not think they were going to hold them to 14. But I think the teams I have in front of USC would beat them on a neutral field. Blake, who do you have at number 8?
Tate at number 8, this is where I have the Clemson Tigers. I feel like they should have lost over the weekend to Wake Forest. I feel like they're having lucky wins, very sloppy wins. And I feel like their game this week, they're going to get put in their place and not be in the top 10. But I have them ranked number 8 right now, Tate.
Coming in at number 7, I have a team representing the Big Ten East. This is where I have Penn State. Penn State's been in my top 10 all year. I love what they're doing. Sean Clifford, looking like a veteran he is. I like Singleton. He is very fast. He reminds me of Blake Corum from Michigan. He got speed, man. But that Auburn win is not looking as good because, I mean, Auburn realistically should have lost to Missouri this week. Missouri handed them that game. I can't believe we tried to. He fumbled it on purpose, bro. You can't tell me he did not. But that game was ugly. But Penn State, on the other hand, beat Central Michigan 33-14 after the game being tied 14-14. I like what I see from this team. Blake, who do you have?
I also have the Penn State Nittany Lions at number 7. Like you said, they are a team that is cooking right now. They got off to a slow start against Central Michigan, but ended up putting them into place in the second half. I have Penn State at number 7, Tate.
At number 6, this is where I have Clemson Tigers. DJ Uguloji played very solid. I mean, that 2-point conversion he had was kind of insane. The Clemson defensive backs, on the other hand, they are so bad. That game was embarrassing for them. Clemson offense looked amazing. That's what I was more worried about. The defense, on the other hand, did not look as good as people thought. But Wake Forest defense is not that good. But Clemson, they're a top team in the ACC, but are they the best? I don't know. But we're going to find out this week when they play NC State. Blake, who do you have at number 6?
Tate, at number 6, this is where I have the Tennessee Volunteers. They had a very good win against the Florida Gators over the weekend, 38-33. And that was a game. The reason the score was close at the end, I think Florida scored a late touchdown to make it a little bit closer at the end. But Tennessee is looking very good this year, Tate. And I have them sitting right outside my top 5 at number 6.
Blake, at number 5, this is where I have the Volunteers. They have looked very solid. Their offense has been very good behind Hooker. Their offense is like number 5 in every, like top 5 in every offensive stat. The defense, I mean, it struggled, but it got the job done against Florida. Tennessee is my 3rd best team in the SEC this year, and I want to be shocked if they get some upsets this year. But Blake, who do you have at 5?
Take at number 5, this is where I have the USC Trojans. Even though they didn't look very good over the weekend, they still pulled out the win, and good teams find a way to win. So I have them at number 5.
Now it's time for our Final Four. My Final Four teams have not changed. I mean, the order has. But at number 4, I have Alabama. Like I said, Alabama just coming off a win against Vanderbilt, but that Texas game, it just has so many question marks. I feel like this week we'll get a good shot at how good Bama is. They go on the road, they play Arkansas, and if they win that game pretty well, I think they could jump Michigan and Ohio State. But if they don't and they keep it close, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them. Blake, who do you have at number 4?
At number 4, this is where I have the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan came off a tough home win against Maryland last week, 34-27. Maryland looked very good. Showed us Michigan has some questions on defense, being able to stop them throwing the ball. But I have Michigan number 4, Tate.
At number 3, Blake, this is where I have Michigan. I had them moving down one spot. Like you said, the secondary struggled, but at the end of the day, they got the job done. This was their first real test. I expected some struggles. Maryland scored with like 40 seconds left to make it a single-digit game. They were up 15. They also missed a field goal. JJ, he didn't look terrible. He did miss some deep passes. He still threw for like 250-plus yards and 2 touchdowns. But the man of the day was Blake Corum. Blake Corum is playing the Heisman race now. He had a 5-touchdown game last week, and then he had like 250 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns against Maryland. I like what I see from the Michigan team. They look just as good as last year, if not better. But they're set at number 3 for me. Blake, who do you have?
At number 3, this is where I have the Ohio State Buckeyes sitting. They had a very dominant win at home over the Wisconsin Badgers, 52-21. C.J. Stroud is looking good as always, and Ohio State's getting their pieces together and looking very scary, Tate.
At number 2, Blake, this is where I got the Buckeyes. Buckeyes, like you said, are coming off a 52-21 win. Now, I don't know how good Wisconsin is. I mean, they lost to Washington State. But the Buckeyes' offense looked absolutely extraordinary this game. Ohio State plays Rutgers this week. Probably won't be a close game. But they haven't had a road game yet. And the first road game is going to be Michigan State here in the next couple of weeks. I feel like that could be a game where they struggle, but at the same time, Michigan State sucks this year, bro. Like they're not doing very solid. The defense for Michigan State sucks, so OSU will probably torch them. But Ohio State sits at number 2 for me after that very impressive win against the Badgers. Like, who do you have it too?
Take at number 2. This is where I have Alabama. Alabama had a very dominant win against Vandy over the weekend, 55-3. I feel like Alabama's the number 2 team in the country, and until someone beats them or tell me otherwise, they're sitting at number 2 for me. Take.
At number 1 for us, we both have Georgia. I know a lot of people are putting question marks around them, as only beat Kent State by 17. Shut up. Like, I'm so tired of it. Georgia is the best team in the nation. I don't care what you all say. If you're gonna base off the not Central Michigan, but the Kent State game, you're not smart. Like, you gotta base off every single game. They mollywopped Oregon, mollywopped South Carolina, just because they struggled just a tad bit against Kent State, even though they were playing their second and third stringers. Like, I really just don't want to hear it, man. Blake, I said you got Georgia number 1, but what do you got to say?
Man, I don't really have much to say. Georgia is the number 1 team in the nation. And until someone really gives them the sweat or beats them, I feel like they're the front runners to win a national championship this year, Tate.
Well, guys, that's our top 25. Comment your top 10 down in the comments. Let me know how you guys feel about our top 25 rankings. We got some good games this weekend. But until then, peace out, Goat Show.
Goat Show out.